Guys, welcome to the channel. I've got a kind of a fun opportunity to share with you two Oyster watches made by Tudor and Rolex, and I thought it'd be a great video to show the two side by side and highlight any differences in execution and performance between the two watches. So this one here on the left, this is my Tudor 74033. This is from 1997. This is the two-tone Prince date, and it is in phenomenal condition. It has the factory finishing and is probably one of the nicest examples of the watch that you can find anywhere in the world. It really is very, very rare and special. The one here on the right, this is the Rolex 16030. This was lent in to me by my good friend Josh, who said, dude, you got to show the two watches side by side. So I'm really excited to have this one in. I think it's an awesome watch. This one is from 1979, and it looks phenomenal for basically a 40-year-old watch. This is the steel engine turned silver sunburst dial variant, and you can see the two side by side are very, very complementary. Now, there's a difference in size. The Tudor is 34 millimeters, the Rolex is 36 millimeters. But as you can see, looking at the two side by side, I don't think it's very noticeable. I mean, you can tell that there's a difference, but I don't think it's very huge. It doesn't seem to be that big a difference, at least looking at the two side by side. Now, on the wrist, they both are great. And I got to tell you guys, I've become a big fan of these more traditional, smaller sizes. I think the 34 millimeters is awesome on my 7.25 inch wrist. I love the way it sits, and it's under 10 millimeters in height. I believe it's 9.5, and so it just wears super well. If you look at the Rolex, this being an older reference, this has the domed acrylic crystal, so it's going to be a little bit taller than its more modern sapphire crystal versions. So it comes in at around 12.5 millimeters. But you can see it also sits very well on the wrist. They don't look too small on my rather large wrists. These proportions I think are just about perfect. So I really dig both sizes here. Now let's take a look at some of those details. Let's go in on a macro level and look at the dial. You can see sunburst dials for both of them. Execution wise, I really don't see any differences between the two. When it comes to the crispness of the dial, the printing, the block or applied indices, the logo placement up there at the 12 o'clock position, I think these are just really well done. And you can see they're original dials, so they both have the tritium dots on the outside of each one of those markers, which is really cool to see. If you look at the handset, we've got the same stick beveled handset. The Tudors, though, they're original. They have the tritium in the hands. This Rolex, this was serviced in 2014, and unfortunately, Rolex swapped out the handset with a modern chromalite version, so you can see that the lume doesn't quite match the tritium dots, which is a shame. And then let's look at the Cyclops. This is one of those kind of controversial things. You either love the Cyclops or you hate it. I think it's awesome. I love seeing that bubble and that nice and large, 2.5x zoom to see those, see that date wheel. And unfortunately, the date wheel was replaced here on this Rolex, I think in 2014. So we're missing those gorgeous open 6s and 9s that you would normally get on a 16030. But you can see that, again, very nice execution on both of them. If we look at the case finishing, again, I got to note, guys, the Tudor is factory fresh, so it's going to look a little sharper and cleaner than the Rolex. But if this was a new example from 1979, I think it would look just as amazing as the Tudor. And you can tell this has been refinished over the years. We've lost a little bit of steel, especially on the crown sign. We're beginning to see the stem or the tube on the crown, even though that the crown is fully screwed in. So just bear in mind, this is a really prime example of the Tudor, and this Rolex could be better if it was more fresh from the factory. But if you look at the two, I mean, they're very comparable when it comes to the execution. We've got the circular grain brushing on the lugs, the beautiful polished oyster side of the case with drilled lugs on both references. Very, very nice. Now, where's the difference between the two? why buy the Rolex when you can buy the Tudor for half the price, I guess is what I'm saying. The big differences are going to be in the movement in the bracelet. Now the movements, the Rolex is using the Cal 3035, which is their very first 4 hertz or higher beat frequency movement. And it's got a quick changeover date feature. It's got a free sprung balance wheel and a Breguet style overcoil. So it's actually a very nice movement, and they finish it very well. Even the parts that you don't see down in the main plate are very, very well finished. And it's a great movement. I really do like the Rolex. I think it's a very solid offering. The one that's in the Tudor is an ETA 2824 that Tudor takes and they highly modify, regulate, and upgrade the movement. So this one is actually even more rare because Rolex has taken the balance system and they've changed it to a free sprung balance wheel. And it also has the quick the quick date changeover and the 4 hertz beat frequency. So I mean, I'd say if we're looking at these two, the 1997 version and the 1979 version, I'd say they're absolutely on par with each other. But if I was comparing a 1997 version of the Datejust to this Tudor, I'd say that the newer 3135 caliber from Rolex is superior to even the highly upgraded 2824 that's in the Tudor. Then the last differences are going to be in the Jubilee bracelet. So it's basically a cost-cutting move. If we look at the two bracelets side by side, you can see the Tudor has folded style links. So they take a sheet of stainless steel and they fold it on itself a couple times to make the form of the link. It ends up being a much more flat profile, but very comfortable on the wrist. Again, guys, I mean, look how good this looks. If we look at the Rolex, you can see the more rounded Jubilee form, and that's taking one chunk of stainless steel and CNC machining it to get that more rounded look. So it's a little bit more hefty, a little bit more weighty, but both center links are hollow center links, so you can actually see quite a bit of a void if you get up in on a closer level like this macro shot. Now, again, guys, just got to highlight the difference between a factory fresh Tudor and an older, quite a bit older Rolex that's twice the age. The Rolex has some bracelet stretch, and the end links are a little rattly. When you're wearing this, you can kind of hear the jingle of the end links moving around in between those lugs and hitting the spring bars. The Tudor here, it feels like it's got solid end links because of how tight it is, and there's zero stretch to this watch. So just bear in mind, the Tudor is in phenomenal condition. The Rolex is quite a bit older, but the Rolex would have the nicer bracelet if we were looking at brand new examples. Even looking at the clasp, you can see they're exactly the same when it comes to the execution. They're both friction clasps with quite a bit of micro adjust and stamped folding portions. Again, I think they're completely comparable with each other. So in the end, looking at the two watches, there's not a whole lot of difference in quality when it comes to comparing these two references. The Tudor is phenomenal. I mean, it has the value proposition. You get a great movement. You get great execution. You get precious metal. And, you're getting Rolex quality at a very affordable price point. These things range anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000, just depending on the condition and the completeness, the service history, and all that. The Datejust, though, I prefer the size. The 36 millimeter size it's just perfect. It's the perfect size for me. It might not be for you, but I love the size. And I love, the name brand recognition. I love seeing that crown up there at the 12 o'clock position. This does carry some weight and provenance, and I dig that. So both awesome watches. The Rolex you can find, anywhere from 2.5 to high threes when it comes to, again, the condition, the completeness, history, if it's all original. This one, unfortunately, doesn't have the original date wheel or handset, but it is in great condition otherwise. I mean, look at that engine turn bezel. Look at those little lines and see how it dances with the light. It really is stunning. I love the silver dial. Guys, I mean, it's just been awesome to have the two side by side. I really like both watches. So Josh, dude, you got an awesome watch. I really appreciate you letting me spend a little bit of time with this. I am a huge fan, and I will be searching for a 36 mil classic Datejust to add, even though I have this amazing Tudor Prince. Yeah, they are very similar, but they're just sweet watches. They make great daily wear pieces. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this casual look between the two. Please reach out to me if you have any questions, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.